Welcome to the Scrapyard. I'm your host, BC,
I'm Aladar.
And I'm False Convoy.
and today we will be discussing the repaint approach. Its blessings, its curses, its annoyances, and the very rare gems that repaints have managed to turn specific figures into.
Like Cannonball.
Yeah. So first things first, for those that might need to know what a repaint quote-unquote is, what a repaint is basically, literally it's in the name. You took something and you changed the way it looked by changing the paint. That's a repaint.
The Seekers.
Like the Seekers. Yes, you. The repaint approach is something that has been within not just the Transformers fandom. The repaint approach has been in basically everything that we've ever touched.
Yeah.
Pretty
Hot
much.
Wheels. Hot Wheels is notorious for them.
So with that said, the Transformers fandom as a whole has been known to buy into a lot of these repaints. Some do it willingly. Some are a little more hesitant. Like Aladar consistently says, one of those major examples is the Seekers.
They were kind of a required acquisition of every single one of them. And then you throw in the cone heads and it's just like, oh, God.
Yeah, there's so many Seekers. Every color of the rainbow.
Basically, dude, like, the most repainted mold Hasbro and Takara has ever had was the classic Seeker mold.
There was probably over 40 to 50 variants of that thing that you could buy. Like, it's insanity.
Not
And
even counting knockoffs.
Repeat that?
Not even counting knockoffs.
We're going to get into that discussion one of these days.
But yes, repaints are chaos.
Repaints have the potential to be chaos, but they also have the potential to bring out some real good. Matter of fact, let me show you guys a quick example.
Even though I listed one at the start of this.
I would say all the Seeker repaints aren't always the best.
NB12 Plus.
He's glorious.
This thing is absolutely glorious, but it is ultimately a repaint of something we already have. Granted, it is painted in more of the actual cartoon accurate deco. It's still, at its core, the same toy.
Like the 07 Premium Series.
Exactly. Now, of course, I decided to swap out the original with this because I think this looks better. And that's one of the major blessings of the repaint approach. A lot of figures and molds that we initially really weren't all that into initially at one point, you change the colors and now all of a sudden it hits something in your brain where you're like, I kind of need that in my life.
For sure.
Let's not even bring Nemesis Prime into it.
Oh, don't you bring my boy in. See, I live and breathe and die repaints. You know, you take an Optimus, you make him black, I'll buy it. I don't even own the Optimus half the time. It's Nemesis Prime is easily my favorite characters of all time, and he was made because of repainting. And I love it for that. You know, an Optimus comes out, I'm not excited for the Optimus, I'm excited for when they repainted it in black.
I mean, he ain't wrong.
Yeah, exactly. I think a good addition though to the talk of the repaints is this mold, that being the Classics Optimus Prime mold, which I'm showing off the Jinrai version of. There's like a billion different color variants of this thing. And
True.
There's probably like 3 different versions of just Optimus. You have Jinrai, Nemesis, Magna Convoy, and like you said earlier, a color scheme can catch your eye and you buy it. I don't have Optimus, but I got Jinrai and Nemesis. I love them to death, and it's all because of the color scheme.
If I can be brutally honest, your lighting at least makes Jinrai look like he exploded from a Skittle.
I mean, he kind
of did. I can hold him back a little bit further, maybe, but
he still looks like an exploded Skittle.
No, no. Now he just looks like your precious child.
But yeah, it's just really amazing, and also even just the difference in characters, despite the fact these two, Nemesis and Jinrai are the same toy, they have such different energy to them, and I'm happy having both of these, despite the fact that they're the same mold, because of the fact that it's like they're 2 different characters and they have such different, unique color schemes that it makes them feel different from each other.
Right.
And I think that's also what's awesome about repaints is it allows for a lot of characters to get interpretations, and it does bring life into the molds to a certain extent. Mostly when it's done right. Like this BotCon Jinrai, when this came out, Jinrai, there hadn't been a figure of him made since the original, and they recolored Classics Optimus, and this doesn't feel like Optimus. When I hold this doesn't feel like Optimus to me. This is Jinrai, despite the fact it is the same toy as the Optimus. I think that's something that's good.
I'm going to address this real quick. Just stopping by to say hi. Good luck with the show. And Studio Series Avengers Fallen Deluxe Class or Riot. Much love, boys. 3 hearts. What?
I don't know.
I'm not saying that to be rude or anything. Just like you legit confused me here. Like, was there a deluxe class figure named Riot or?
Also, thanks for the comment.
Yes, very much. Thank you for the comment. Thank you for acknowledging our presence.
Something else that helps bring life into molds when it gets repainted is when they get remolded a little bit, like Beast Hunter's Ratchet.
See, yeah. We're not getting into that. We're not getting into that. Like that's retooling. Like, it is something that we can talk about at some point, maybe even tonight. But as of right now, no.
Okay, just making sure I'm on track, but still wanted to point that out.
I was being a snarky son of scrap. Well, I mean, this is the Scrapyard, so you're not too far off.
Who is commenting, by the way?
V Revolticon.
Sup, V?
Thanks for commenting, man. We'll see you later.
Yep.
By the way, for anybody else watching, if you have any questions, feel free to hit up the like tab.
Or anything that you want us to bring up, maybe, because get into the discussion,
Include yourself.
But yeah, obviously the one thing that the 3 of us dabble in the absolute most is Transformers.
Yep.
But as I previously stated, Transformers isn't the only thing that really, quote unquote, suffers from this.
True.
Gundam is just as guilty.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
The initial version of this was green. The Char Aznable version, Zaku 2, is red. It's literally just the same exact thing with just a color swap.
If I'm not mistaken, I think there's 20 different P Bandai variants of the same high-grade Zaku from 2001. if I'm not
shit.
mistaken. I think there's 20 P Bandai variants of color outside of just the Char and the green one.
Oh my god, dude, that is ridiculous. Well,
Holy shit.
is there one that is solely black
Yeah.
that I'd want? Like, I would love to see this specifically in black.
Yeah, there's a black Zaku, and there's also a from the newer Origin stuff. There's a black Zaku 1, which is pretty cool, and you could actually probably find that still. It's more recent kit, but see, even right here, we're talking. I'm like, hey, there's a cool black Zaku repaint. And you're like, ooh,
Another franchise that's really guilty of repaints that VC might not be too fond of is Star Wars. Battle droids, clones, stormtroopers. You get the
Can we
idea.
remove him from the discussion now?
Just pointing it out so no one else asks about it in the
I
comments.
know it's fine. Look, I'm not hating on anybody who is a Star Wars fan, but for me, Star Wars is something that I don't dabble in it. So therefore, I'll stand away from it.
That's why it's just getting a brief mention.
Yeah.
So with that said, there is a lot of good sides to the repaint approach. However, there's also the not so good side of repaints.
This is true.
Which is the quote unquote shameless repaints. Now, a necessary repaint would be you got Ironhide naturally, painted a different color, and you got Ratchet. You got Starscream painted like 2 different times. You get Thundercracker and Skywarp. Same thing with Ramjet, painted 2 different colors. You get Dirge and Thrust.
Hey, here's a question. Does Universe 2003 Silverbolt count as a shameless repaint?
I was getting into that.
Okay.
It's when you start getting into things like Ultra Magnus into Delta Magnus. That is a shameless repaint. Now, I know people who have the MP version of Delta Magnus. I bet it looks great, but you bought a shameless repaint.
Even if it's Diaclone related.
See, I like that one. That's a repaint I like, but
and there's nothing wrong with it. But I'm just saying, like, you can tell that's shameless.
Yeah, a little bit. It's kind of redundant.
Yeah, and just granted, I technically really don't have much room to talk here, but the plus side swipe I showed off, that's a shameless repaint. I still love it, but it's a shameless repaint nonetheless. I have the plus version of Prowl as well.
You had the plus version of Mags.
I had it, yeah.
We're all guilty of shameless repaints.
Yeah. I think
as much as loved as Cannonball from Cybertron is, he's a shameless repaint.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately where the bad side of repaints comes into play. Is now all of a sudden you're trying to milk a mold, creating characters and concepts that really don't work for a mold. Like, say for instance, we have, like, just with Prime alone, you paint it black, you got Nemesis Prime. You paint it purple, you got Shattered Glass Optimus. You paint it white, you got core Magnets. But you paint it green and it's Toxitron?
The hell?
You see what I'm saying? Like, green is a color that really doesn't work for that mold. I mean, if you paint it blue, you got the Powered Convoy, and okay, cool. Doesn't really work, but
I think
It's cool.
I think the blue black powered convoy / Magna convoy works more for me because like, well, at least with the Magna convoy repaint of the Classics Prime, I like that one because he is a character in Transformers Legends. You know, it's not just here's a Diaclone thing. You know, like it doesn't feel as redundant to me. But like, I do get where you're coming. Like MP10 is insane. The amount of repaints of that thing, like
Ghostbusters.
yeah, like Ghostbusters.
We got a
And
white version. We got a yellow version. We got like 3 blue versions.
we got the
got like 3
7-Eleven
green
version. I
versions.
mean,
We got the Ava version. We got the black version. We got the shattered version. We got the plain white one. We got the 7-Eleven one. We got the Ghostbusters one. Need I go on?
Hell, the initial 2 releases were different because you had the one that was toy accurate and the one that was on screen accurate with decos.
And let me tell you what, of all those versions of it, technically only 2 were actually considered necessary. And that's the original Takara Tomy release and the Hasbro release. Because like Aladar said, toy, cartoon. It all depended on what you were going for.
I would make the argument that Nemesis and Shattered Glass you could argue is necessary because Shattered Glass primes his own character and Nemesis is his own character. I think the other ones seem more like cop-outs though, like everything else besides those and the 2, toy and cartoon ones. Because like they've been, it's like Shattered Glass is like it's a different flavor of Optimus. It's from a cemented thing. Why not? Nemesis. He's been his own character now. He's like in the fiction in his own way. I'd give him a pass, but like the other ones is where I would draw the line. Like, I don't need Optimus, but he's a 7-Eleven truck. As much as it's funny and I do like it, it's not needed.
Or Pepsi Prime.
Yeah, or Pepsi Convoy. But the corporate sponsorship side of repaints is like that's even that's its own rabbit hole in itself. Like
exactly. And if there's any, I'm going to catch a lot of grief with what I'm about to say.
Oh God.
I'm going to pick on a third-party company right now.
Oh,
Okay.
slag.
Bear in mind, what I'm saying is coming from a place of pure love.
Oh no.
We need to talk about Mastermind Creations' repaint approach.
Oh boy.
yeah.
Mastermind Creations, again, everything I'm saying is coming from a place of love. But seriously, y'all, you took your azalea mold and painted that thing like 15 times.
They really did though.
Who was
Kinda
Azalea?
ridiculous.
Azalea was their comic book RC version.
Okay.
Where like the standard one was RC, which is a great figure. But just that one figure alone, they managed to pump out. After that, there was the greenish one, there was the blue one, there was the black one, there was the Elita one, so that you could technically say that's a red one. There was a purple one, and there was a black and purple one, and there was an
Damn.
orange and red one. Just the amount of times they painted that one mold was insane.
That sounds like it puts the secret mold to shame.
See,
It
and
doesn't.
that's not even
Trust
accounting.
me, it doesn't.
That's not even accounting for the fact that Mastermind Creations 2, the way they design their figures, is that that's only the ones that are just repaints. That's not even talking about the slight retools that just have a different head and a different paint job as well. There's probably even more of that than just what you just listed. Like Mastermind Creations is a little ridiculous with that. They make great stuff, but it gets a little crazy sometimes.
I'm not gonna lie though. I'm gonna pick False Convoy's brain a little bit here. Imagine the Star Convoy in the Nemesis colors.
That's true. I would love that.
That would be
But
pretty.
again, this comes back to like the thing is that Nemesis is always an Optimus, you know? But like with what they do, they take characters that like let me give an example. So they their drift figure, right? Was remade into a Senator or no, it was made into a Batman crossover, which was then made into fucking Ratbat. Like Senator Ratbat.
Yes.
You know.
Actually, I don't think that was the drift mold. I think that was the wing mold.
Oh yeah, it was not the drift mold. Yeah, I got that wrong. But point is like, so there's three things, and like the Batman crossover, like, what? Sure, whatever. But then like the Ratbat mold though, in my honest opinion, I don't think it really fit him. But they just shoved him into that mold because that's their approach to like
Everything.
how they make things.
For instance, the Striker Roadbuster mold. They released it as Striker first, even though they fully intended it to be Roadbuster. But even after that, they took that mold and they released it again, but this time they did it as Bulkhead. From Transformers Prime specifically.
Oi.
Which, while I appreciated the reference, do not get me wrong, I thought that was really awesome of them. Did we really need it?
No. Or like how they turned like Tarn, the Tarn mold has been redone about 1,000 times as well. And it blows my mind that their Tarn, they found a way to turn into Machine Wars Optimus. That's one that blows my mind. Yeah. It was a TFCon exclusive, but it's just like, it doesn't fit him at all.
I was at the TFCon that he was an exclusive at.
Oh, yeah.
So I can confirm this. That was real.
Yeah, I bought one. I was at the TFCon as well.
You were?
Yeah.
Well, shit, I wish I knew you then.
I mean, I don't know. Well, were you at the Toronto one or the Chicago one?
Chicago.
Oh, okay, see, I bought it at the Toronto one because they resell the exclusives at the cons. So actually, we weren't at the same one, but
okay,
I bought it in Toronto, but still.
Yeah, I was in the one in Chicago, and safe to say, I fucking loved it. But that's besides the point. The point I'm getting at with this is, the tar mold, it got a shit ton of other repaints. Did we really need them, though? Did we really need the asterisk version, which was him but orange, and an Autobot mask instead of a Decepticon mask?
No.
Did we really need the Thunder Clash? Did we need the Machine Wars Prime? Like, how many versions of that mold did we get?
Yeah, there's so many. You know, and that's just, and like, you know, and it's just like, you know, at least though they do bother to like slightly retool them. It's not just a hard repaint, but it's still like, it's a similar problem, I think. Like, it kind of ties into the repaints, you know, because in the end this is about repaints, but like the retool and repaint thing, you know, it kind of goes together. Mostly when it's like the retooling is not enough to make it into the thing they're trying to make it into, you know? Like, I think that's the issue with it.
They're two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, they're two sides of the same coin.
Forever connected.
So with that said, MMC has this thing with repaints. They've made this very clear. But on the same side, they do make great figures, regardless of whether they are repaints or not. For instance, design-wise, I'm not a huge fan of Calidus. Their take on Rodimus from the Lost Light comics.
Yeah.
However, that figure, I feel like, was born to be Getaway.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That mold looks absolutely outstanding as Getaway. I love it. I don't know what it is about it. I don't get why it looks so good. All I know is it looks so good.
Yeah, and that ties back into the positives about the repaints. Like there's something good it does.
Yeah, as much as I can scrutinize MSC for just slamming us repaint after repaint after repaint after repaint, some of those repaints are gems, man.
Exactly.
Like, for instance, as much as I was putting a lot of scrutiny towards the Thunderclash, I had that for a time, and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I had the Tar for a time. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I made fun of the Machine Wars Prime, but I bought it. Like,
There's also another really big positive that gets kind of overlooked with repaints. You get a chance to get a mold you might have missed.
That's true.
That is very true. You do bring up a very good point with that. Because, for instance, yeah, I swapped out my Sideswipe. But not a lot of people had an opportunity to get Sideswipe originally. So, therefore, the MP12 Plus Sideswipe was the perfect way to get their hands on that specific version of the mold again.
Yeah, I had a similar thing with that where I was showing off my Classics Primes. I never got a Classics Prime up until I bought a repaint of it, and I fell in love with the mold, and I'm glad that I got it because I wasn't, I'm young enough to where I wasn't exactly consciously able to be like, me want Classics Prime, so I never got one. And it's cool that, from like the AoE 4-pack or that AoE 2-pack that resold the Classics Prime with some chrome on it, I got to get a taste of that mold for the first time. And I'm glad I did. Because if I didn't get that taste for the mold, I don't think I ever would have wanted to buy Jinrai. And this has turned into one of my favorite figures, And I'm glad for that. Same thing with MP Shockwave. Never got that when it came out, but I bought the upgraded one with the better color scheme. Finally got my hands on that. It is helpful.
Yeah, the repaint approach, like, as much as we scrutinize repaints on a regular basis, there are upsides to them. But at the same time, there's one specific company that I'm going to give a lot of credit to. And I mean a lot. This is going to make me sound like a shill. If you know me, you already know what I'm about to say.
Oh, dear God.
That's right. I'm riding the Fans Toys train.
Oh, yeah.
Those guys, the few times that they do decide to do a repaint, it's not even that they're not doing a repaint that's like completely unnecessary. Each and every figure they make has some level of importance to it. Perfect example, Sovereign. Their first release, great figure. Absolutely outstanding figure. I have it on my shelf. It's fucking glorious. Well, there was an FT16M. FT16M stood for movie colors, where all of the colors that he was better matched the movie.
Right.
Same thing with the Quietest. I think he was 29, whatever. They released a T version, which was the cartoon colors. I have that, and I'm telling you right now, as far as my end of the year countdown goes, he is battling it out for number one.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that is a bonkers awesome figure.
I bet.
And just, I could go on and on and on about the different types of repaints that they could easily do, and they don't.
Yeah.
They know if they really wanted to, they could sell us a fucking Seeker mold.
Oh, yeah, of course.
They've proven time and time again they're above just doing shameless repaints. They could hit right now with a new Optimus, and I would sell my MP44.
Fair enough.
And that kind of ties into something that I really need to just get off my chest real quick. Let's talk about MP49.
Hey, that's my favorite thing.
What the hell is 49? Oh, wait.
Nemesis.
It's the Nemesis Prime version of MP44.
I caught onto it right after I asked. And right
AKA
before,
the better one, but you know.
right before False Convoy said it, right after I said it, I caught onto it, and it's just like, oh.
Do not get me wrong. I think that figure looks absolutely amazing. But I will pay the higher price tag if it means I'm going to get paint on the fucking figure. How dare they charge $240 to $250 for Nemesis Prime and not even fucking paint the fucking figure?
I have a big counter to that. And that's the thing. I wholeheartedly am glad that it doesn't have paint on it because of two things. Actually, just one thing, is Takara and their paint. It doesn't like to stay on. It chips, it's bad, and honestly, that's the thing. I'm gonna give an example. MP Lio Convoy, the new one. I love that figure.
Back off.
I love it, but I will not take it off the shelf and mess with it too often because of the fact that the paint is brittle.
Yeah.
With Nemesis, I will go over to that shelf. I will take him off the shelf. I'll leave him on my desk. I'll fiddle with him. I'll transform him over and over again. And guess what? No paint scratches. He keeps his look intact, and I don't have to worry about it. I understand that in the end, yes, it's a collector-focused line. Paint is important. But even at that, I like the playability that it offers, and I think Nemesis, in person, in photos, I think that he looks great, and he doesn't need it. And I honestly am glad that he doesn't have the paint, because I'd prefer the way he is over a version where every time I want to mess with him, I have to worry about chipping his paint.
That's a good point.
As fair of a point as that is, you can't convince me on the price point.
Oh, I can't justify the price. Takara can't justify the price. But I'm just saying, look, it's Takara. You're going to pay so much more than you need to for everything they sell. That's how it is. And I like it when the thing that they sell me doesn't deteriorate as I play with it. So,
which that has actually been getting a lot better. I have MP51 RC, and her paint is fine. Nothing shit.
Yeah,
and
they're improving.
I have the Tigatron too.
Yeah, they're definitely improving. I'm not knocking them for that, but I think the price point is just a separate issue in its own right, because everything they sell, you look at knockoffs, you look at third party that sell things with similar plastic count, parts count, and quality, and it's night and day difference. Like you can buy Make Toys Meteor for like $120, or you can go buy the new MP Starscream for $250. And you could argue that Meteor is better in some ways, Like, I know overall, yeah, he's the new MP is arguably more accurate, arguably better. But it's just when you get right down to it, it's the same character, similar scale, similar amount of engineering put into it, and it's half the price.
While I do see what you are saying here, I'm going to be real with you when I say Make Toys Meteor overhyped.
No, that's valid. I agree with that. It's definitely overhyped to hell. I mean, I have one. It's not the godsend thing everyone makes it out to be. But the point is, though, it is still the MP slot. It fills the MP slot for barely the price of the official. And it's just like, and I can make better comparison probably to like let's say Transform Elements Optimus Prime versus the official MP44. One is $150, one is $500. Now I understand that there's a trailer, there's all that, but we could just compare it to the Nemesis then. 250 versus 150.
See,
It's
now
ridiculous.
at that point, I will hands down give it to transform element.
Yeah, exactly. But that's just point is though, Takara's prices are ridiculous. It's just how it is. We have to deal with that. But
see, here's the thing: the people who are not paying Takara prices for their products and buying other things in their place, they're the people that when they say Takara is overpriced, they stand by their argument by speaking with their wallet though. They're refusing to buy a single repaint or retool of anything Takara just to prove a point. But then those people like us, where we're sitting here bitching, moaning, and complaining about the prices, but we're still paying them.
This is true, but there is a point that I stand by one thing and one thing only. I will pay the Takara premium if it is a character I very much so care about, which is why Nemesis gets that pass, and Lyle gets that pass, and Star Saber gets that pass. And if there's ever an MP Jinrai, he's going to get that pass. But generally speaking, if I'm not getting something on sale, if I'm not getting it, if it's not actually a good price, I'm not buying it from Takara. I will buy a third-party option, and for the most part, I've went with that. Make Toys Meter is my case in point. I'm not buying the new MP because I have that, and it's so much cheaper, and also there's that new Starscream that some company revealed. I don't remember the name of the company.
I think it's Deformation.
Yeah, it just shits all over it. IMO. At least in terms of look. I think it looks better. You might disagree, but... And even if it doesn't look better, though, $130. How much was the new MP Starscream?
Like $260.
Yeah, case in point.
Yeah, but let's just...
Yeah.
I feel like we said our piece. Let's get back on track.
Yeah.
And let's bring up a company that is known to do repaints, but we buy those repaints because, god damn, the playability of their figures. I want one of you to try and take a guess who I'm talking about.
I'd actually like to be able to have a stake in this conversation and bring something else up. There's also aesthetic preferences.
Well, we kind of brought that up with the cartoon versus toy accuracy thing,
But I mean, there's... It goes further than that, though, because, wait, no, it doesn't. Crap, I feel so left out of it.
Well, no,
I don't do third party.
It kind of does. I see where you're going with it, because, I mean, in the same vein that I don't buy every Optimus, but I'll buy every Nemesis. It is kind of an aesthetic preference when you get right down to it. So, no, you have a point. There's definitely...
involved.
Well, you gotta hop in here.
Anyway, so who wants to take a crack at who I'm talking about next?
Alan?
Fans Toys.
I just talked about Fans Toys.
God damn it. Like I said, I have no stake in this.
Then take a stake. We're giving you the stake. Take it.
Is it rare?
It's medium rare.
Hell, that's juicy enough. Okay. Shit, I can't remember the company's name, but the one that did the Hercules a while back.
TFC?
Yes.
That's a good one we can also talk about, but no. False? Any ideas?
Fucking playability. I'm trying to think where you're going with this, because we've talked about Mastermind Creations. We've talked about shit. I actually don't know where you're going with this. Where are you going with this?
Oh, I'm so ashamed in both of you, because I'm talking about Fans Hobby.
Okay, I probably should have went there. They are like my favorite company, but
Fans Hobby, let me tell you guys something. They could release okay. There's only one figure that I'm refusing to buy twice. Anything else they've made so far, they could repaint it to the moon and back, and I would find some way to justify it on my shelves. Like
You
that,
lunatic.
the Jinrai, I love it.
Oh yeah, he's so good.
He's so awesome. Like, dude, was how much people give the X-Transbox / KFC Toys area the sculpt department? Dude, you cannot tell me that the KFC God Raijin, whatever the fuck they're calling that thing, just the super mode alone, even without the cabinet, looks like utter ass. Fans Hobby crushed it.
They did really crush it.
I mean, okay, you could argue that the super mode is a little on the thick side.
Yeah.
You could argue that. But guess what? I like my Power Master Prime with a little bit extra.
Yeah, for sure.
So if I'm going to sit here and talk about the Jinrai and whatever the hell KFC is doing, hands down going to go for Fans Hobby. Because theirs has a playability to it. I can enjoy theirs.
Yeah, it's they know how to make a solid figure. I like Naval Commander, Arch Enemy and Gunfighter. Their Jinrai, I think I forgot what their Power Baser. I love all of them. All of them are like 10 out of 10s in my book. They're some of my favorite things in my collection.
I'm amazed that Naval Commander has not been released as a solo toy as the black version. I'm legit amazed that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, where is it? I want it.
Right? We're going to my Fans Hobby. The fuck?
Yeah, no, I agree with you though. Like I honestly they could repaint anything, and I think I'd buy it simply because it's their quality sells. It doesn't. I don't give a shit what color it is. It's so good.
I mean,
you
really can't repaint and reuse the Overlord body for anything. That one was specifically made to be Overlord, and that's it. You don't mess with it any further.
Yeah.
If they found a way to repaint it into a separate character, I would buy it.
Flywheels.
I hate you. You're not even wrong.
He's not.
I hate you because you're not wrong. I would love to see that.
Yeah, I think that, and also Fans Hobby, the effort they put into the repaints, I think is also why it wins. Because you get Hasbro and Takara, and sometimes you can tell they're half-assing it. You look at the Siege Rainmakers, right? As much as the Rainmakers are cool, they're just slabs of one color of plastic. Fans Hobby always puts in the extra effort to make them come to life and feel different. It's always S-tier quality paint, beautiful work.
And not only that, they managed to find a way to bring other characters back to the limelight, even though the molds they're using, it shouldn't work for those characters, yet it does.
Yeah.
That is precisely why I brought up Fans Hobby for this entire conversation. Because the black repaint of Power Baser, an actual toy lore that exists.
Yeah, that's Nucleon Quest Super Convoy.
Exactly, that's Nucleon Quest Super Convoy. There was never a black version of God Bomber for that. We were stuck with just Nuclear. That was it. That was all we were allowed to have. Fans Hobby made that possible. Fans Hobby put in the work and made a black version to go with their black Power Baser. Where was that ever in any form of media?
Never, but they brought that to life, and that's awesome.
Exactly. They took concepts that are basically either were never explored or were dead on arrival, and they brought them back to the limelight. For instance, how many of us had, like, somewhere in the deep recesses of our brains asked ourselves, how would Jinrai look in the shattered colors? Fan topic provided.
This is true.
How would... We'll get into that one in a second, Alan. How would their double cross look if it was made in the colors of Transmetal 2 Megatron? Bam! Fans how to revise.
True.
How would their gunfighter mold look if it was the Toxitron colors? I'm convinced they have it planned.
They might.
The point I'm getting at is Fans Hobby knows how to nail playability as well as absolutely powerful display presence. Like, let me make a quick point of this, and then we'll talk about Aladar's next half of the topic. I have MP Star Saber attached to KFC Simba. So basically I have MP Victory Saber. I specifically have Jinrai displayed next to him.
That is a hell of a presence.
Yeah.
It's not just the fact that just those two on the shelf are a hell of a presence. When you think about Jinrai is just one purchase. MP Victor Saber was two purchases. Yet on a display level, they're almost dead even.
Yeah.
You cannot tell me that Fans Hobby does not know how to really take a figure or character and really pump some life into that.
Oh yeah.
That Power Baser looks magnificent. And yes, before anybody asks, the Japanese continuity nuts are very much looking forward to the Fire Guts repaint of that. I will be buying that.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I am buying that. As soon as it goes up for pre-order, it's mine, dude.
For sure. I think my last topic on Fans Hobby, just because we're like kind of sucking Fans Hobby's dick right now, I think they're really good at old Masterpiece and how they tried to add some realism to stuff. Like, they tried to modernize it. I think Fans Hobby does that. They're doing what Takara and Hasbro wanted to do. Because, like, in the end, when you look at, Power Baser, he doesn't look at all like he did in the anime. But it's like, it's Jinrai brought up to modern design. And it's beautiful. It's magnificent.
So anyway, as far as on-screen redecos go,
before we get into that, if anyone's wondering how BC can say that, I asked about that. Look in the chat.
Yeah, for the audio listeners.
We've got Power Links, for example. Power Links Hotshot, Power Links Rodimus. You get the idea. On-screen redecos, the Supercharged Autobot Brothers.
yeah, these are, like, those all are not really considered unnecessary repaints.
Yeah.
However, we start to dabble into unnecessary repaints when we talk about Power Links Prime. Because while granted, it was cool that we got a Power Links Prime at all, the Power Links Prime deco didn't happen until the final episode.
even at that
ridiculous.
too, it looked different in the show than in comparison to the toy. Like the designs are different, and it took Takara releasing a whole other one to actually get it right.
Exactly.
But-
That's so annoying.
I think that's just more so fault of like concept art not making it into the anime probably and being translated properly, but it's still just kind of he should have been in those colors, you know, after like, you know, they like everyone got reformatted, you know, he should have been reformatted along with them.
Yeah, exactly. Like that should have happened and it didn't.
That also brings up something else. I get why they did it, but it's still really annoying that they called Power Link Starscream Thundercracker in the toy line.
Yeah, but at the same time, you know those Seeker fans, they're gonna love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, like I said, I get why, but it's still really annoying, especially considering in the TV show, Starscream himself was like, I look like Thundercracker.
Yeah, he did say that. But even also like but with the Power Links Prime colors too though, as much as it's annoying in the final episode, I do at least this is how I've always interpreted it. When Optimus throws away the Matrix, I think he gets those colors because, like, you know, there's a quote that Unicron says where he's like, without the burden of that object in your chest, you'd be no better than Megatron. And I take it as those colors being like his dark side finally showing, you know? And then he goes balls to the walls, fights Megatron. Then in the ending scene, he doesn't have those colors anymore because he's finally, you know, like the Unicron singularity's been destroyed and he's, you know, like
Himself.
yeah, he's himself again. He's finally accepted himself for who he is and he's back to his original colors. That's how I've always interpreted it. That might not be what was intended, but that's how I've interpreted it.
And
That
then
actually adds in-
came in and fucked it up.
But seriously, that's a nice way to look at it. That makes it a lot more interesting.
Yeah, that actually really does make it a lot more interesting and explains the darker colors.
Yeah.
As opposed to, hey, I just look like this randomly. I decided to go emo for an episode.
Yeah, pretty much. But that was always kind of my interpretation of it.
So yeah. So closing thoughts, because I'm pretty sure we've exhausted this topic to its absolute bare bones.
Yeah.
Closing thoughts. I'm still iffy with a lot of the companies that do the repaint approach. If they do it right, it's great. But if they don't, if they decide to just let it lay on the wayside, it doesn't have as much gravitas to it. Like, if you're gonna do a repaint, at least treat it as if it's another project. That's what Fans Hobby does. It's not just a shameless repaint; it's a project.
If it's done right, it can be amazing. If it's done wrong, it can be flushed down the toilet.
Much like Universe Silverbolt.
Oh, Universe Primal.
I will defend Universe Primal. I love the idea behind it.
The idea is good, but the execution was flop.
Alan, do you really think Unicron cares about how you feel? He wants you to not like it. That's the point. As a multiversal singularity of pure evil and chaos, he looked into your brain and he told himself, these are the colors I know he'll hate. And that's what he made him.
The hell was what Unicron thinks. He can suck an ass for all I care. That paint job looks garish and unholy.
That's the point.
It's an eyesore.
That's the point.
It is intentionally god-awful.
It is intentionally god-awful, yes.
That doesn't make any sense.
Alan! Alanar! Dude!
Make him look half decent if you want him to sell.
See, the saddest part is that figure sold like hotcakes.
I was clearly in the wrong area for Universe 2003. The one that sold like hotcakes was a 2-pack of Tanker and Obsidian in my area.
Yeah, that Primal sold like hotcakes. People loved it. The mold, they didn't
Here, he
care
was
much
a
about the
shelf
color, but
warmer.
they loved the toy.
There's something we should go into in the future. Shelf warmers.
That's not nearly as important, though. That's one that would literally die in like 30 minutes.
To be continued. So, False, you got any closing thoughts on redecos?
This Nemesis Prime, this I like. That's it. That's all. More black convoys, and I'm good. Takara can make whatever shameless shit they want as long as they keep making Nemesis Primes. That's mine.
It's like they released a statement in that moment. We will no longer be making any more Nemesis Primes.
Oh yeah, no, I'm done. No more. I refuse.
You literally just like, I can immediately envision False just looking at his computer, immediately going right out the window.
You know what? I will tell you what. I will tell you what. If they ever actually stop making Nemesis Primes, just to try and help that wound heal a little bit better, I will make you a custom Nemesis jet convoy from ROTF.
Preach.
That would look dope as hell too.
Extensive to the point of repainting Jetfire.
My actual closing thoughts are though is a repaint done right is a great experience, and I don't think anyone should complain about it. But the unnecessary, poorly executed bullshit sucks, and it always will suck, and I don't think we're ever going to really get rid of it. But don't buy it.
It's like cosmic rust.
Basically.
All right, well, with all that said, guys, I think we can draw this episode to a close. I hope you guys enjoyed the Scrapyard for what it's ultimately meant to be. So with all that said, I've been DC.
I've been Aladar.
I've been False Convoy.
We'll catch you guys next episode.
Later.